right, I think we're going to get started. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nick Rathod. I am the Executive Director of the State Innovation Exchange, and today we are marking the anniversary of the Lilly Ledbetter Act being signed into law by President Obama. I was in the room for that signing. I was working for him at the time, and I remember it was Obama's 10th day in office at that point. That day marked an important step towards assuring that women are valued in the same way as men for the work that they do. Standing here 7 years later, in the midst of another presidential election, I'm sad to say that the problem of equal pay for equal work continues to exist. Today, in 2016, women still get paid 79 cents for every dollar that men do for doing the same job. Not part of the same job, not part of the hours, or the days on the job, the same job. And for women of color, it's even worse. That number goes down to 60 cents for every dollar for African American women and 55 cents for Latino women. Yesterday, I was talking to my twin boys before I flew out here. They were asking me the usual questions. Daddy, where are you going? What are you doing? When are you going to be back? And I told them that I was going to go to Iowa to talk about equal pay. They, of course, asked what equal pay was. And I explained to them. When I finished explaining, one of my sons said, "Daddy, that's not fair to Didi." And Didi is their sister. In our language, it's called sister. They are 4 years old. It's not hard to understand this concept. Getting paid less for the same job is, as my sons put it, not fair to their sister. And it's not fair to sisters, all of our sisters, everywhere around the country. Yet, in 2016, for one reason or another, our Congress, some business, and others still haven't gotten it, and have failed to fully get us to a place where women are treated equally in the workplace. This is why equal pay can't wait, and it's why I'm proud that my organization, the State Innovation Exchange, or SIX, has been working with legislators all across the country to make sure that even while our Congress may not be capable of doing something about this, that in our backyard, in the states, we can do something about this. In fact, this week, with the help of SIX, over half of the states in the country are taking action collectively to say that we value our women, our grandmothers, our mothers and daughters, just as much as we value our grandfathers, fathers and sons in the workplace. And this is not, or should not be, a partisan issue, because people get it. We all have mothers, sisters, nieces, daughters, and granddaughters. None of us wants to live in a country or a state where we are telling them that they aren't worth as much because of their gender. Which is why I'm proud to be in Iowa. Your leaders here in Iowa get it. The people get it. And are one of the states that are taking the lead on this issue. Two of those great leaders are here with us today. Representative Marti and Senate President Pam Jochum, to talk about their bill this legislative session to tackle this issue right here in Iowa, where the problem is actually worse
than it is nationally, where Iowa women are making 77 cents for every dollar that a man makes. But first, I wanted to turn it over to Ann Taylor to tell her story about this issue and underscore why equal pay can't wait. Ann?
Good morning, I'm Ann. So I've worked in several kitchens and bakeries throughout my life, and in every restaurant and kitchen I've worked in, I've taken great pride in my work, and most importantly, the work that we did as a team. Sadly, it became clear to me over the years that not everyone on the team was treated fairly and or equally. In one kitchen, I was trained by a Latino man who had been with the company for a year prior to me, and he was paid $8 to my $10. And this was not the first time that I've seen pay discrimination. And a close friend of mine and fellow chef Victor was working with a major corporate restaurant at the time. And he had really high reviews from customers and management, and he was fully documented as a citizen. But he, as Latino, was paid 40% less than my white coworkers who were working at the same level because corporate managers claimed they could not prove he was a citizen. Then the pay discrimination hit my home paycheck, and I was in a managerial position, and I worked 6-7 days a week just to make ends meet. Most of the people that were working under me at the time were male cooks. So when I found out that the male cooks I oversaw were earning $2 more an hour than I was, and to know that men and women of color were making less than this. The gender and race pay gap is deplorable and downright immoral. This is not just a women's issue, it's a family issue, it's an equality issue, and it's unacceptable for a local government to keep ignoring it. I thank Marti for putting forth legislation on this issue, and I strongly encourage other state legislators to join her. Keeping the status quo will mean that we won't see equal pay until 2059. We cannot wait, I cannot wait, your daughters cannot wait. And I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat.
This inequality demands your attention
in this legislative
Thank you.
session. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing your story. Part of the problem with equal pay is that people can't share their stories. We have had an equal pay law in Iowa for decades. We've had it in the nation for decades. We have civil rights laws that say you can't discriminate. But workplaces have found ways around that. They prohibit their workers from talking about their compensation, comparing their compensation. They look at people's hiring or salary history before they decide what to pay them for the job that they're going to do, which already should have a wage attached to it. So, after decades, we're still not receiving equal pay for equal work with equal skills. And that is not the American way. I am so happy that President Jochum has also submitted a bill in the Senate, as I did in the House. Our bills put some prohibitions in the law against the ways that workplaces have found to get around equal pay. Our bills would prohibit any policy that says employees can't talk about their compensation. It would prohibit an employer from basing or seeking the pay history of an applicant or an employee, so that they can set their base wage lower. It requires employers to publish the wage for the job that they're hiring for when they advertise for a job. and to make transparent the pay ranges that are attached to positions in their workplace. These are the ways that employers and workplaces have gotten around equal pay. This is why we still see women earning 77 cents on the dollar in Iowa for the same work, with the same skills, in the same job. With that, I'd like to introduce Madam President. This is our President of the Senate, Pam Jochum.
Thanks, Marti. So thank you everyone for being here this morning, and thank you. Marti, thank you so much for introducing a bill in the House. The bill in the Senate is Senate Study Bill 3071. I'm going to repeat a few statistics that have already been mentioned and why this is important. The statistics I want to repeat because you know what? They're darn important. So on average, a woman working full-time in the United States makes 79 cents for every dollar a man makes. In Iowa, white women make 77 cents for every dollar a man makes. But it's even worse for African American women who make 61 cents and 57 cents for Latinas. Iowa, sad to say, ranks 35th in the nation when it comes to gender pay gap. So why is this all important, all these numbers? Well, Women in the Iowa workforce make up 48% of the total state workforce. Almost half of our workforce will make less than the other half of our workforce just because of their gender. 47,696 Iowa households are headed by women living in poverty, and an additional 36,900 female-headed households do not earn enough to support their basic living expenses. Equal pay for equal work can help these women make ends meet. According to the National Women's Law Center, Iowa women lose a total of $10,680 a year, making less than a man doing the same job. The cumulative effect over a 30-year work span is close to $400,000 in lost wages. And that doesn't take into account lost benefits and retirement savings. If the wage gap were eliminated and Iowa working women were paid an additional $10,680 a year, they will be able to pay for 73 weeks of food for a family of 4. Those numbers come from the USDA Thrifty Food Budget, weekly average $146 a week. It would pay for more than 11 months of rent and utilities for a family with 2 children. Those stats come from the Iowa Policy Project. Average monthly rent for family with 2 children is $924 a month in our state. And that would pay for 5,340 gallons of gas. National stats show that equal pay would mean that poverty rate for working women would be cut in half, which means more than 23,000 Iowa families would be lifted out of poverty. Thank you. I think we're ready to take any questions. Sure. And Martin, you want to join me up here in a minute?
Sure. We have a plethora of people here.
Yeah, thank you.
Speak
Come
up.
here.
Can also speak up here.
Yes,
Sure.
Senator, yesterday, Linda, Speaker of the House, specifically said in her nursing career that she had every kind of pay differences that were based on other factors in gender. And she questioned whether the studies showing the difference are in fact accurate. So,
Well, I'm really glad that Linda believes that that's true for her. However, pretty difficult when we know, as Representative Anderson has already pointed out, that the current law prohibits talking about wages and so forth. What we know, not hard to find out, you can find out what the statistics are on what women are earning in our state and throughout the country. The stats prove the point. We are earning less money for same pay. So I will tell you that yesterday in a private conversation with one of the women who lobby up here, but also works for one of our larger corporations here in Des Moines, actually said to me, I'm glad you're doing that news conference tomorrow because I'm one of those people and I know that I am getting paid less than my male counterparts who are actually doing less work and have fewer responsibilities than I do. So I make a good wage, so I'm not going to complain, but I earn less with more responsibilities. So I'm not going to mention her name, I'm not going to mention the company. But she shared that with me, and I just wanted to express to you that I actually personally told that story yesterday here at the Capitol building.
Have you had any sort of private conversations with Republican women legislators who express the same thing? I mean, it doesn't seem like Republican leadership in the House wants to go forward with this bill.
Well, I would say that would be most unfortunate because I don't view this as a political issue in any manner, shape, or form. Do not. If we are really committed to improving the wealth of Iowans, and I believe the governor already 5 years ago said that one of his goals was to raise Iowa's income by 25%, and this is one surefire way of getting there. This is truly just one more step in our march and our journey toward civil rights and full equality, something that's been promised in our Constitution since the birth of this nation. And it's time that we start fulfilling the promise of our nation. For half of our country.
For half of our country. I can recall in my career hearing employers say, my employers, some employers say, well, of course we have to pay him a little bit more. He has a family. Women have families. Women are part of families. Family economic security depends on fairness and depends on women getting equal pay for equal work and with equal skills. It's possible that the representative, the speaker, didn't know or didn't encounter any discrimination. I think that's fabulous. It shouldn't have ever happened to any of us. But that isn't the way it is for all women.
And I think Ann gave testimony to that this morning.
I've seen a lot of it.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, well, I've experienced it myself firsthand, working in several different places. It wasn't just in one restaurant. It was working in catering companies and stuff like that. And knowing that I was hired at this wage and then another man would come in, be hired at another wage. He was working underneath me, knowing that I wasn't valued. I wasn't made to feel like I was important because we were doing the same exact thing. Why is he getting paid more than me? It made me lose interest in the job. It made me just completely check out. And I had no problem walking away from that job and that industry in general because I knew that no matter how hard I worked or how much I tried to prove myself, I would never be paid the amount that I deserved. So.
Any other questions? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.